Hello everyone, how are you guys? How was your day? And can you guys please confirm if I'm audible properly? Okay, so we have our guest for today. Just a minute, guys. Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening.
How are you?
I'm good. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Okay, so
How are you
without,
doing?
I'm good. I'm doing good. Okay, so let's start with your introduction. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. So I'm Dr. Charan. I'm a consultant neuropsychiatrist. I'm working from Hyderabad. I work with a hospital called KIMS in Hyderabad. I'm also an assistant professor. I tutor young students or medical students rather to become a specialist.
Okay, sir. So let's just tell our audience that today we'll be discussing about stress management, especially in these times when everybody's so stressed out. Okay, so let's talk about your experience in the current times. How are you dealing with everything?
Mm, I think the first year taught us a lot of things that we are thankfully still applying and trying to be okay. Um, I think, I do have my own moments of scare and panic and anxiety for sure. Especially, I feel there is a lot of underreporting from the government because we are seeing too many cases in my own hospital, too many deaths and too many admissions and lack of beds and all of that. Whereas in the news, when I'm seeing the statistics are very surprisingly very different from the reality. Um, I feel like underreporting might instill a lot of unnecessary confidence in people, where they might think like, "Oh, my our state is not so bad, so I think we are okay. We can move around and we can still try to have our community experiences." So I think that is not correct at this point because we are still not at the peak of the second wave. We don't know what's the capability of second wave. We are in the beginning of it. Beginning is itself seems very scary. It doesn't hurt for us to like stay indoors and take care of ourselves. Considering we all have been going out for the last 4 or 5 months because things have been normalized, so it's okay to just 2 3 months just to stay home and try to manage so you don't suffer any losses.
So when you are dealing with patients, obviously we being normal people, we are not professionals, but every time we face somebody who is suffering from COVID or whose parents or relatives are suffering, it somewhere disturbs us also. So I can never imagine what goes inside a professional's mind, seeing 50 and hundreds of people going through. So how do you deal with it? Like What do you do to manage your mental self?
I think it's dealing with emergencies is a very basic thing for us because we're trained in that area, and we do see disease, and I mean we are surrounded with diseases and death and a lot of things, sometimes in our control, sometimes out of our control. But what is very new to the community of doctors right now is unsurety. We still don't know a lot of things, and we do know better than last year, but we still don't know a lot of things because now and then we're getting to hear that there is mutation, there's a double mutation, and there's a triple mutation, and we don't know. I mean, we don't even know the accuracy of the information, or if so, there is a mutation. What next? Like, how do we? Because we don't have any literature about it, because when we are getting trained, we know the diseases and we know how they act, and we can even tell you might not make it or you might make it. But here, when someone asks us a question, we're unsure. I think none of us have ever been in this position of not able to answer, not able to give proper information to patients. So I think that somewhere is, I think the first thing for a medical community that, okay, we don't know about this. So that is happening. And when we think, oh, we know about this and something else is happening, like there is a new evolving every day. There's evolvement every day. So I don't know. So it is pretty scary. But another side, talking about mental health per se, definitely there is high rise in anxiety and depression. Everybody knows this. I shouldn't be saying this as a great news after we are into almost 14, 15 months into pandemic, and everybody knows this. And a lot of us are coping with it well. But I think second wave again is increasing. I don't know yet if it has increased because we're just very new to it. To be honest, last 1 week, my patients have reduced quite a bit. So I'm not thinking it's because people are doing well. I think it's mostly because a lot of people are getting infected. So they're not able to come to the hospitals, and whomsoever are comfortable taking online consultations are the ones which are coming forth, is what I feel. But
They are taking
otherwise, OPs, yeah.
Okay. So, according to you, can you just give us a few mental health tips, not only for the patients, but also for their attendees, like how to deal with it?
I think mental health is always about doing your basics right. If you do your basics right, it's very easy to. It's not just mental health, it's physical health. Other than infections, infections are mostly out of our control, yes. Other than building your immunity and exercising and eating good food, all of that, yes. But otherwise, if you look at most of the conditions, we call anxiety, depression, diabetes, hypertension, all these fall in the same category of lifestyle disorders. So the treatment is only lifestyle management, yes, and also medicines and all of that. But if you're having a healthy lifestyle, even you can conquer genes. For example, if genetically I'm susceptible to be developing diabetes or a depression from my parent, but if I'm having very healthy lifestyle, my genes are mostly not gonna do anything. I'll still come out not having a lifestyle disease, or even if I have a lifestyle condition, I will get cured quicker. My disability won't be there that much. So I think getting your basics right is very, very important. Um, if I talk about stress, because that is today's topic, without getting derailed, when you look at stress, obviously stress is not a disease. Stress is just a phenomenon. It's a risk factor that can cause multiple diseases. Stress can literally cause anything. It can start from hair fall to cancer. The entire spectrum it can cover. Stress either directly causes a condition or it aggravates a condition if you already have the condition. So how do you avoid stress? Let me scream it out and tell you, you can't avoid stress. You will have stresses in your life. There will be stress around you. If not pandemic, some personal stress, something, financial problem, emotional problem, marital problem. It can be anything. There are 1,001 stresses for us to deal with, but it's about our perspective towards it. How am I gonna let this affect me? I think it should start with your attitude, because me personally, I'm going outside being a doctor and telling you, me personally, I always try to separate everything into two categories. One is everything that I can control, and second thing is everything that I can't control. I always see, is the situation under my control? If it is under my control, I will definitely take charge of it. I will definitely try to use my logical part of the brain and try to find some solutions. It's not one solution. One solution might fail. You might fall flat on your face. It's okay. Get up and move to the second, move to the third, move to the fourth. There are many solutions as you want them to be. And second thing is things that I can't control. I definitely don't want to even meddle with that. What most of us do is we try to take charge of everything. You know, that creates a lot of anxiety. For example, we are in the middle of a pandemic. How much of this can we control? Whatever we can control is what's supposed to do. You know, wearing masks and practicing social distancing and sanitizing everything properly, avoiding community experiences and gatherings and things like that. You know what to do. You know the drill. So all that is what you can do. Other than that, there's nothing else that you can do. If I know for a lot of us, disease is coming very close to home. You know, like even my uncle got affected, my aunt got affected, and we even lost somebody in the family. It is definitely a tough time. But just knowing that, you know, everybody is there in this together collectively, the whole world. It's not even like Hyderabad, Telangana, or you know, or Rajasthan, or just India. It's entire human race is in this together. I think you should understand there is no other option but to move ahead. You have to move ahead from whatever losses we have, from whatever it is that we have. We just have to be more careful. That's it. And just know that this is not going to be a permanent thing. You know, today morning I was reading that someone had, you know, committed suicide, not just attempted, but completed a suicide because of the fear of contracting the illness. Um, I think I feel like lack of social support can drive him or her to a particular step, because all of us are scared, but only few of us take this step because we have other positive things around us to fall back to. There is a comfort blanket that we fall back to. For example, I come home, there is my family, I see them, and I talk to them. There are people that I can share to. If I want to talk to someone else, you know, there are many therapists. You can always talk to the therapist. You know, you can always come and see doctors. You know, if you want support, there is always support. You just have to be open for it. You know, that's one thing. Sorry, what is the question? I tend to derail quite a bit. So talk about tips, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, tips. So first thing is your perspective towards a stressor is what you need to develop. That is what we basically do in therapy also, right? In CBT also.
Yeah.
We all do the same thing. We try to challenge the negative thoughts and ask the patients to convert them into positive thoughts and see the outcome. Would it cause as much distress as a negative worry did? That's the first thing. Second thing is sleep is very, 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 very important. Sleep is what is required for your brain to work active, productive. If not productive, also just be active, and you know, for you to go through the next day. It's the same thing for, you know, anything. It can be your air conditioner, it can be your heater, it can be anything. It can be any instrument or any apparatus, any gadget. If you overuse it, it tends to give away. It tends to fail. Same way, if you're not resting your brain enough, that's a big no-no. So there are some do's and don'ts about sleep. I'll keep them very quick. First thing is, do not take naps in the day. Try to maintain your sleep timings. You know, even if you're sleeping late, I'm not saying it's okay, but at least maintain the timing. Don't confuse your brain erratically. Try to avoid stimulants close to the bedtime. Post 6 p.m., you have to cut off caffeinated drinks. It could be your thumbs up, Coca-Cola, whatever. All of that. And evening after 6 p.m., you shouldn't even exercise. So you should be doing everything for you to unwind, relax, and you should be preparing yourself to sleep. So no watching news at 9 p.m., no seeing how many people are dying around. None of that is going to help. Switch off the TV at 9 p.m. Please don't watch 9 p.m. news. Yes, but you have to be aware of the news. So definitely my news time is somewhere around 4 o'clock. That is after my OPD. I see news for about 15-20 minutes. All the WhatsApp groups that share a lot of unnecessary news, other than my own hospital, my KIMS hospital that I work for, other than that hospital's group, everything else is muted. I don't want to see who is dying, how many people are dying, is there oxygen or not. Like, I don't want to. Sometimes it's okay to turn blind eye and deaf ear to things when you are getting overwhelmed, when you are getting affected. There's no point being a responsible citizen and knowing these things when your health is going for a toss. So avoid that and eat. Third thing is obviously eating very healthy, because we're seeing a lot of COVID morbidity and mortality is happening in the patients who are obese or underweight, overweight. So even I'm trying to get my workout routine a little better now because second wave is again here. So try to exercise, preferably in the mornings. You can exercise for about 30 minutes. Nothing great, just simple exercise. YouTube, you can just click and the world is just one click away. You can learn anything, and definitely yoga and meditation works better for people with panic disorder, anxiety disorders than a cardio or anything. Or next thing would be picking any hobby. I don't know how many of us actually have a hobby. When we say hobby, it's not watching movies or talking to friends like how we used to write in slam books in as a kid in school, talking to friends, listening to music. No, that's not a hobby. That's just your time killer. Have a constructive hobby or anything that gives you fun. It can be you dancing, it can be learning an instrument, it can be poetry, it could be art. Like I do a lot of art, I do a lot of photography. It gives me a lot of relaxation. I don't have to talk to anyone. It just vents out what I feel. I feel very good. Like every Sunday, I do some art or something or other. So by Monday, I'm ready to take on my patients and their worries. So sometimes overwhelming for mental health professional as well. That too much is happening and people are going through so much. Little too much is what we know about patients. So so you have to get all these basics right. And one more very important thing is hydrating well. 4 to 5 liters of water per day, unless your doctor asks you not to drink. Because if you have a kidney problem or a heart problem, then you shouldn't. Otherwise, you should be. So these are pretty basics. Exercise, eating right, all this, but I just can't tell you the importance. I can't stress enough the importance of doing all this, how big it's gonna be a game changer for you, not just for COVID, but also depression, anxiety, and all the other conditions. So all this is what you need to do, and definitely please turn off your um, social media and everything before you go to bed, at least 2 hours before you go to bed, because the blue light from the screens is definitely going to affect with your sleep because it decreases melatonin that is required for you to sleep. Yeah, so I think all this is what you need to do.
I think basically we just need to vent it out one way or
Yeah,
another,
yeah,
and उस तरह से maybe we can just decrease our stress level.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Somebody is asking that is it okay to unsubscribe from all the news channel if it is causing you so much stress and affecting your mental health?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It doesn't hurt because I'm not, I don't think so there's going to be any positive advancement anytime now. But yes, just for you to be updated in terms of if there's a real lockdown or not, and if you have to have all the groceries for you to, survive. For those things, you might have to know news a little bit, but otherwise, nothing that, you missing is going to do anything.
True. So we all know that we are just locked up in our houses. We have to do it, actually. So we do go through many emotions when we are alone, especially children who are away from their siblings. Personally, I am also away from my sibling. So we do go through many emotions at once. Um, so how do we? And sometimes we don't even realize that we are feeling like anxiety or we are feeling depressed, not depressed but like sad maybe.
Yeah.
So how do we recognize those red flags and how do we deal with it?
Um, the red flags would be obviously symptoms. Uh, See if there is a change in your sleeping pattern, change in your eating pattern. If you're getting irritable for no reason, if you're not able to focus on your work, a lot of behavioral changes. For example, you are feeling new to yourself, that anything that you're responding to or reacting to is seeming very different. For example, I'm a calm person. Let's just assume. And suddenly I'm becoming irritable at everybody. I'm snapping at my nurses or my co-doctors, or I'm snapping at people at my home. That's a clear indication that hey, something is it's telling your brain is telling you to just take a pause, slow down and cut down on the unnecessary responsibilities and try to concentrate on your own self. Anything that is unusual for you, it's not that difficult. It could be your heart is racing very fast, you're not able to take breath. You're feeling giddy all the time, you're feeling like you're going to throw up, you feel like your chest is very very tight. You feel very restless, you don't feel settled and relaxed, you're feeling very restless, excessive worry, unrealistic worry. not no interest in doing any activity. For example, I told you to go paint, blah blah blah, all of that, but you basically have no motivation. You see no purpose. You're being very negative. Like, because a lot of patients are coming like that. What's the point of me painting when the world is ending? So when you hang too many, but that's not the mindset everybody is having, because if world is ending for all of us. How come we are not looking at it like that? You are looking at it like that. So it could be a depression and anxiety. So all these are definitely red flags for you to definitely come and see a doctor uh, for sure. We'll rule out if it's a clinical condition or not. If it is subclinical or not a clinical, we'll definitely guide you to the right platform.
True. Very true, sir. So, let's just talk a little about the positive side of the pandemic, because everything has its pros and cons. So, do you feel there's a positive side to this phase that we're talking about?
Absolutely. Um, there was actually. I don't know anymore because the skyrocketing of cases and everything is going for a toss. But till February, if you asked me this question in February, I would have said 100%. Because if you're looking at death rate, there are a lot of other infections. The death rate have almost gone down to zero because no one is contracting any of those. Because infections do come from poor sanitation. If you're not keeping things clean, simple thing as if you're not washing your hands, if you're not heating your food enough, all this, and people are being very careful about this, including all the socioeconomic stratas, because the knowledge has gone down to every level of education. So all the other infections have come down. Lot of road traffic accidents have come down because the traffic is definitely lesser. Um, we are also seeing happy pregnancies in terms of mother is having a lot of support from the people in the household. So a lot of people are bonding. A lot of people are actually getting time to probably deal with their issues and move forward. Environment definitely was getting better during lockdown. I think things have gotten much better. Also, I think it's a reality check for all of us to not take things for granted. Um,
Very true, sir.
yeah, I mean, we always take our health for granted. See, now everybody is taking vitamin D. Everybody is doing a little bit of exercise. A lot of people are doing. I mean, a lot of people are taking care of. I think the best thing about the pandemic right now is people are more aware of something called as mental health. Before, mental health was the rare thing that happens in movies, like in horror movies or thriller movies or something like that. You know?
Not gonna lie, so when now my relatives get to hear that I'm studying psychology, they say that, "अरे वाह बेटा, ये तो बहुत काम आने वाला है आगे जाके." I don't think if I would have said the same thing 2 years ago, they would
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
similar.
I mean, not just for professionals like you and me, but also I think for general people, they have understood that there is something called as anxiety. Um, I mean, my case are definitely increased. I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but at least I'm glad that people are coming for taking help. I mean, even in the rural setups, semi-urban setups, also people are coming for. That's also always a good thing. So that's a positive side. But yeah, I mean, there is definitely unnecessary scare. Not now. I'm talking about previous wave. There was a lot of unnecessary scare and unnecessary anxiety. There's a lot of financial burden and things like that. See, I mean, fortunately, I didn't have any of the financial issues. So I can't speak for it, but I think the other day I was discussing with my friend that maybe it happened for good and things are getting better and all that. But my friend strongly told me that but there are a lot of people who have got out of the jobs and who are getting out of the job. There is that fear of I might lose the job and I had to, how do I feed my family, etc., etc. So for them, I don't think so. Listening to me saying all this would be very pleasing. So just understand that I'm trying to find positive in the darkness also. I'm not saying there are no negative things, but sometimes um, it's always good to find that light at the end of the tunnel through the entire darkness. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to tell myself, okay, there are good things. This is good thing. That is good thing. I'm telling myself, it doesn't hurt for you to see the positive side as well. Positive side can be just 2% and 98% can be bad, but it doesn't matter. Look at the 2%. That's what will keep you going.
True. It'll give us the motivation to just even
Yeah.
get up from our beds. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been hearing this term called post-COVID syndrome a lot on media platforms, whether it's news, whether it's some tabloid. Uh, what is it exactly?
Okay. I completely don't think it's a medical condition.
Okay.
I think it's, first of all, syndromes usually are, we call it a syndrome because we don't know too much about it. That's why it's called syndrome. Otherwise, it would be called as a disease. Uh, so I don't want to take it too seriously. I'm sorry. So I don't want to say much about it because I don't know too much about it, and I don't think so. It's very medical. But yes, I mean, post-COVID syndrome. If you ask me from a mental health perspective, it is just like PTSD,
Oh,
post-traumatic stress disorder. Like,
right.
following any accident or following any natural calamity, post tsunami. What are the mental health aftermath of a disaster is what is essentially a post-COVID syndrome. So probably that.
So we can say it's a type of PTSD, maybe.
Yeah, it is type of PTSD. It's just not medically like there yet. I'm sure it will become one of the category because we haven't seen pandemic in our lifetime, right? Considering you and me are young, so yeah.
Okay, so with this, we'd like to just wrap up everything. Is there anything from your side that you would like to share or say?
Uh, I just want to tell all of you to be very careful. Um, the virus is not gonna come into your house and it's not gonna infect you. So you just have to remain indoors. And even if you're going outdoor for whatever reason, please wear a mask properly. I think I can't tell you this mask is so important because everybody's wearing it so wrong. Patients walk into my room and I ask them, "How are you doing? Are you doing okay?" Immediately they remove the mask or lower it like this, and then they answer to me. They think that I can't hear. I understand that they think I'm not able to hear, so they lower it. Or I know some people, what they do is, many people actually, they're wearing masks. When they have to talk to somebody, when they have to cough, they're opening, coughing, and they're putting it back. It defeats the whole purpose of why we're even advocating mask at the first point. I mean, we doctors, we sit and joke about it like, what I actually told my patient today. I mean, do you want to, like, do you have any revenge plan for me? Because you've been wearing masks from your car till the building and everything. Why only when you enter my cabin you're removing it? So they're laughing about it. So I think wear masks properly. I did a video about wearing masks. You can check my page. It's very simple. You just have to put on. There are two slings. You just have to only use them to put on or take off. You can't wear them here. And everybody's wearing this cloth loose masks. So with time, when you wash masks, what happens is they become very like loose, just like our clothes. So they're just dropping off. So they keep pulling it up. It's almost like you're taking the infection on the outside of the mask and you're implanting it in your, in your nasal-oral cavity. So don't do that. Please use mask right. And I know some people remove mask like this and they fold it, put it in their pocket, and they take it and wear it back again. Always think that outside of your mask is contaminated. Treat it like there is a virus sitting right outside this, and how you're going to dispose it. Just be very careful about that. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to wear it back without touching the outer surface. So treat it like that. And
Okay.
definitely the thin cloth masks are of no much use. I know everybody is stitching their own masks, and every fashion brand is coming up with masks, but N95 gives you 95% protection. That's why it's called N95. There are many fake N95s also that are very thin and you can breathe very nice through them. Anything that is makes you comfortable breathing, that is not a good mask.
Well
So
said.
yeah, or at least use a cloth mask and a surgical mask. Use two masks like that at least if you can't afford N95 as much.
Okay. So let me just check if there are any questions by the audience. Um,
Also, one more small tip is for people, if you're in a closed spaces, especially air-conditioned cabins or any closed space, be it your own elevator or anything in a Uber or in a Ola, uh, you don't know, the previous person might have coughed or sneezed or whatever. So even if you're sitting in any of these, if you're going down through the elevator, please still put the mask. I know it's uncomfortable. It's extremely uncomfortable. I'm not saying it otherwise, but you have to wear it. You have to do what you have to do. And please educate people who are not wearing it mask properly. I go to supermarkets and wherever I tell people to put the mask up, they get very offended. They give like angry look to me. The moment I tell I'm a doctor, put it up, then they put it up. So you don't need a doctor to come and tell you. Anybody can tell you. Just take it as a responsibility and just wear it for your own good, if not for others.
True, sir. So I checked the questions, nothing as such, like you answered all of them. So I would like to end the session here. Thank you so much for giving us your time. We really needed a talk so that everybody gets to know about it.
Yeah.
That's all. Uh, the audience, if you're listening to this, please do take care of yourself and your family. Until unless it's not urgent, do not leave your places, because then you're not only putting yourself at stake, you're also putting your family, the strangers that you're passing by, and just take care of yourself. It's not really needed to go out and chill right now. So, yeah.
And all the young people don't think that you're victorious in some way. Young people are getting more affected by the second strain. More than your family, take care of yourself first. Then you can be, alive to take care of your family. Self-love. Do it for yourself, and then do it for the family, and then for the society. So do it at least for that.
True.
You take care. You have a good day, and good luck with your psychology course.
Thank you so much, sir.
Bye.
Bye bye.